When you do projects, obviously there are challenges in conducting projects. And in order to identify risks that are faced by the projects, if you have a proper project management skills, you would be able to tackle them in a proactive manner and be able to deliver the projects with expected outcomes which will satisfy all the stakeholders. I'm not going to be talking too much about it, but we have a very eminent and a knowledgeable resource panel who is gathered here. They are going to enlighten each and every one of us on this subject matter. And we are here to learn from them how project management as a profession could help us overcome the challenges as a country that we are facing at the moment. So with those notes, I would like to wish this seminar all the success, and over to you, Vijay Sama. Thank you.
Thank you, it's learning very well. So actually, there's thank you for this warm welcome speech. So on behalf of the seminar committee as the chairman, why we need to have this seminar? So actually, you know, under the OPA umbrella, there are 50 associations. In the 50 associations, I understand that there's no profession for the project management. So we have to identify in Sri Lankan context why the project management profession is needed within the Sri Lanka. Because I think resource panel will emphasize how it globally already taken up. It started from 1950s, 60s with the World War II, with the 70s, and they used different tools and techniques project management. So in Sri Lankan context, project management profession need to be emphasized. So resource panel will take up. So my point of view as a seminar committee, so I want to aware to our profession and other member organizations the need of project management. And this session going hand with the both seminar committee as well as career guidance and the skill development committee. Engineer Ravi is actually due to his officer, he's a candidate now, he's unable to attend, but on behalf of all, on behalf of that committee also, I would thank for that committee for supporting me to carry out this session. So with that, I will come to the formal introduction of the source person. For the agenda, Mr. Shanaka De Silva will deliver about the project management, why is need for this profession. So Mr. Shanaka De Silva, he works as a principal technology consulting at Ernst & Young. Over 24 years of experience in IT industry, with over 14 years of in senior management position, underpinned by more than 12 years of wide range in consulting experience at Ernst & Young. Shanak has led many technological transformation engagements, which includes many mission critical, private and public sector ICT transformation projects in Sri Lanka as well as in other countries. He holds a BSc degree from National University of Ireland, MBA from Cardiff Metropolitan University, and MSc from University of Moratuwa. And he also PMP profession and well-known source person PMP as a lecturer. And also PMI ACP Agile Certification Practitioner, qualification from PMI USA, and also he is certified Scrum Master CSM from Scrum Alliance USA. He privileged to be the only Sri Lankan to be graduated by PMI Leadership Institute Masterclass. Lim 2019. He is the immediate past president of PMI Colombo chapter, Sri Lanka chapter, and he has taught over 2,500 project management certification qualifications holders. He is the immediate past president of PMI Colombo and Sri Lanka chapter. He has taught that kind of project managers. So I would like to invite over to Mr. Shanaka De Silva to deliver your presentation.
Thank you so much. President of OPA, President of PMI Colombo chapter, resource personnel members, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity today, and we are excited to be giving a overview of the project management profession today to all of you. So I will basically start my short session with a very important tagline that you would have seen in many books to many forums today, which is quite common, which says if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, which basically I would say is the fundamental of project management where we all start. And I'm sure most of you will agree with me, the amount of projects that I have done in this country, I see this is a very big point in most of us. We usually don't get the amount of time and space for planning. If you would have worked with Germans, if you would have worked with Japanese, you would see probably extremely large amount of time they spend on planning. Because fundamentally, without planning, there's absolutely no way that you could make your project a success. It has not happened, and it's very rarely happened. Probably it might happen if God is with you always. Otherwise, it will not happen. So this is the foundation where the change should always start. If you want to shift to this profession called project management, and if you don't believe the essentials of planning as senior management, you will not give that adequate time and space to your project managers in order to make that plan a success. We also embrace at PMI, we also embrace that in today's turbulent times, market dynamics have changed so much, your original plan will rarely work out. We understand that, we embrace that. That original plan would be rarely worked out at the end. But at least for you to know that your plan has failed, you should have a plan. This is what NASA realized after multiple attempts of failure. They finally decided a plan is better than no plan. Even if you fail that a plan, hopefully your next attempt would be better with a much more realistic plan. I'm sure some of you might be using a very, I would say, beautiful chart called Gantt chart as project managers. We use a quite expensive software called Microsoft Project to do that, right? And usually at the start of the project manager will make sure that plan is nicely pasted on the project wall from left to right. So if you go to the project office, usually you'll be surprised to see this plan, and you will spend a lot of time because it's very nice. You have blue colors, you have red color in it, you have a calendar on your right side. So your people who come to this project office are very pleased to see that it's an amazing Gantt chart. It's quite difficult to print it and paste it. You spend a lot of time to do that, but this project manager has done it. After 9 months from that day, initial start, the same person comes to your office, the project office, and look at that Gantt chart. It's quite easy to understand. So he goes all the way to the current day today, and he cut across the current day to see where you should have been in the project. And the Gantt chart indicates as of today, you would have completed the 3rd floor of this building. So you open the window, you can't see a 3rd floor in this building. So you ask the project manager, where's the 3rd floor? Is it underground? Now this is a problem. Nothing wrong with Gantt chart. It's the way that you build this Gantt chart is the problem. Because other countries, this usually work. So now as a project manager, you are thinking, how do I remove this Gantt chart, which you originally pasted on the wall? Because this Gantt chart, which represents your promise or which represents your estimated schedule, is extremely incorrect with your actual work done in the project. So you want to remove that from the wall. This is the situation that we are facing. I mean, not all of us, but many of us might be facing today. It's all going back to not following those fundamentals, adequate amount of planning that we have done in the project. Sometimes we do this planning, also called Gantt chart is my example. Here, Gantt chart just to please my boss, but we never use it in the execution of the project. Now, it has become a profession today where it was not long time ago. But if you go back to our history, we see amazing project mankind has done, pyramids of Gaza to Great Walls of China, even mega projects like Hoover Dam, even in Sri Lanka, Ruan Sigiriya, those are amazing projects. And if you look back and figure out, we cannot repeat those projects. We simply cannot repeat those because we have lost the knowledge of them. But one of the things PMI did long time back, about 50 years back, was to make it a profession and look at how can we make it a more disciplined approach rather than an ad hoc project management. If you look at even today in Sri Lanka, we still manage projects using something called general management abilities. Not project management abilities, but general management abilities. Some of those things might be a Hitler's approach to see to a ending to a project. May be successful, but majority of them will not be successful. So how do you make it a more scientific and a disciplined approach is what we are looking at. Can you execute a project with general management practice? Well, the answer is yes. We have been doing it. We have done it. We have been doing it. But if you really look at the hit rate of that attempt might be about 30%, 40%. We might end the project. Is it a success? We don't know. Why? Because we even don't have matrices to figure out whether it's a success or a failure. I'll talk about success or failure in the next 5 minutes. So how do you increase this hit rate, make it more successful to reach closer to 80s and 90s of a percentage? What we have done is we have brought in many tools, techniques, many processes. We have today 49 processes. If you look at our Bible called PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, which is freely available. We have 49 processes. That means a project manager could execute 49 different processes, may execute 49 different processes in order to drive the project in a successful manner. We have hundreds of tools today that we use, be it estimation, be it reporting, be it progression, be it monitoring. We have hundreds of tools that we could utilize in making it. We have multiple different techniques. Now, for example, when you're building a house, unlike 10, 15 years ago, today the Basuna will tell you, pay me 75 rupees for a square feet of tiling, which 15 years ago, they never used this mechanism. If you look at. They look at the flow and they give you a fixed price. But today they rarely will give you a fixed price, but they will always give you a price for a very small unit of measure, square feet. There's a reason behind it. The technique for that, we call it as parametric estimation in project management. So these are some of the tools that has evolved over a period of time. We even have 10 knowledge areas to practice today by a project manager, starting from scope management, cost, quality, schedule, communication, procurement of a project, all the way up to risk management. We have got 10 knowledge areas that as a PM profession, we should follow. Governance has become eminent today. We have a separate section area in project management today to govern a project. From starting all the way to the completion of a project, how do you govern? Organizations today have formed PMOs or Project Center of Excellence, for example, or Project Management Office. basically to provide that governance and provide that drive towards a project. These are all scientific approaches that has evolved over a period of time to make it a more professional approach rather than an ad hoc approach. And if you look at the industry today, Toyota has done a lot of work on it. We have copied, and Toyota was very pleased to share most of it. If you look at Toyota has a lot of success stories, by the way, on project management. It has been one of the critical strengths of success. If you remember, these are public domain, so that I can use a little bit what I call it more characteristics on when I'm explaining some of these projects, because they are in the public domain. So in 1994, if you recall, Toyota started a project to build they initially called it an alternative fuel vehicle. At that time, the market had a vehicle which could be powered by one energy source, either petrol, diesel, or electric. We had electric cars in 1994, Tesla had it, Nissan had it, Leaf. But we never had a car that could power using two energy sources at the same time. So Toyota decided to invest on a project called Alternative Fuel Vehicle in 1994, targeting the United States market, because Toyota's biggest market share was United States. Moment Toyota started it, Honda's biggest market share also was United States. And Honda realized whoever who comes to the market first will grab this opportunity in US. And Honda also started the same project in 1994. Both realized whoever comes first will take the bigger piece of the pie. And Toyota completed it in 1997 with a much more superior technology compared to Honda. But Honda delayed up to 2002, 5 years, where Toyota completed. Now, this was a classic example where time factor of the project matters a lot, which as a country, we usually don't understand much. Completing on time. But this is a classic example where in projects we call this as a window of opportunity. So every project is a window of opportunity. I'm sure Hasit here will talk more than me about how we acquired the solar market. It's a window of opportunity. If you don't react to the market demand during that window, I mean, you will not have much benefits, or we call it benefits start diminishing beyond that window. So this was the driver for Toyota at that time. Toyota realized the only way to capture this market is to complete the project on time, with the quality originally anticipated. And that's the success story. So we call it window of opportunity. Sadly, most of our projects delay, if you really look at it. And sometimes the 12 months project, making it 13, 14 months is a normal for us. When it becomes a norm, it's quite difficult. But Germans don't have this, for example. Japanese don't have it. Completion of time is paramount. So these are some of the critical factors today. And from Toyota, we have copied a lot of things like lean-based project management. It's very popular now. The main objective of lean is reduce waste. We have also emerged into agile-based project management, if you have heard it. Agile started with the focus on software development projects, and then moving to or expanded into ICT-based projects, to telecom-based projects. And today we are attempting agile to look at various other different types of projects. So it's the agility that runs the project, which is a critical factor today. We call it agile-based project management. These are all evolvements that has happened over a period of time. And all these tools, techniques will improve your hit rate as you see here. More and more tools I use. Initially, I don't have any tool, but if I start adapting tools, my hit rate, my success is going to increase step by step. Overnight, nobody can do this, but every project manager attempts to improve it after every project with introducing more tools and more governance into that project. Now, every project, whether we like it or not, worldwide, rates as a success or a failure using three factors, only three factors. These three factors are scope, time, and cost are the three factors. We call this as triple constraints. Some of the project managers call this as the golden triangle in project management. Meaning, if you could manage these three in a project, you are walking towards a success. And my previous example about Toyota is basically one factor here called schedule or the time management. Now, if you miss one of these factors, your project will be recorded in the books of failure, whether we like it or not. You might say, 12 months project, 1 month delay is quite normal. But in project management profession, this will be recorded as a failure, whether we like it or not. Why failure? It's a window of opportunity. Every day that you delay, it diminishes your benefit. It diminishes your benefit. Now we have another classic example I thought I should talk to you because every project management book today talks about this. It's a world wonder, a monument that we always want to visit if you happen to be in Australia, Sydney Opera House. It's one of the greatest attempts by mankind to build this monument. It took 8 years to build. In 1973, it cost us $102 million US. That's quite a lot of money. Now, why every project management book talks about this? Because this was one of our greatest failures in the history. You might say, come on, how can it be a greatest failure? Because it's one of the most beautiful buildings and anybody going to Australia will always visit it. It failed because it was originally estimated at $10 million US. Extended to $102 million US. Originally estimated to complete 4 years, almost double. But if you look at a little bit depth into this, it's an engineering marvel. If you talk about the Opera House, it's an impossible task that we have completed in 1973. But as a project manager, those become only excuses because you promised to complete it in 4 years. You promised to complete it in $10 million US, 10 times escalation in terms of cost, 2 times escalation in terms of duration. So cost and schedule out of the triple constraints have never been met. But the result is beautiful. It probably will stand another 100, 200 years, for example. The result is beautiful. Why we are so worried about this failure? Because when you estimate at $10 million US, obviously your finance people to the CEO might look at things like, return on investment, things like payback period, things like net present value, things like IRR, and probably will figure out, wow, it's a good investment. But that $10 million becomes $100 million, none of those will be valid. 4 years becomes 8 years, none of those will be valid. And that's the reason why we call this as a failure. Now today, unlike a few years back, we are very famous of writing status reports as a project manager. You would have written, you would have seen status reports. We use a very nice status report, usually called traffic light color-coded status report. We have red color, we have orange color, we have green color. This report is quite subjective. Until the last 2 weeks into the project, everything was green, but last 2 weeks, it started getting red. So a few years ago, we realized this status report does not indicate accuracy. So today, we use something called earned value management. That's another tool that the industry has evolved. EVM, we call it, or sometimes EVA, earned value analysis. Construction industry uses today. University of Monaco has built a super platform to monitor this continuously. Software industry is using today. Amilania using today in Mobitel, EVM. It's a mathematical way of looking at your status in your project. So on a 15 months project, EVM can tell you we need 18.5 months. On the third month, it can tell you. So it's a kind of an early warning system that the industry has built. Sadly, not many organizations use it in Sri Lanka because the first use is always challenged, but after that, of course, continuous use will give you those benefits. So these are some of the critical factors that has evolved this industry into a much more disciplined, much more scientific way of thinking. We never thought mathematics could be used to derive a project status. Now we have a super platform with a lot of graphs you can see on your screen there to derive this project status. Now PMI has done a lot of work on this to build the industry up to this level. PMI was incorporated in 1969 by 4 working project managers. One of them are still living in North America. PMI has more than 1.2 million PMP holders. PMP is one of our gold standard certifications, by example. And of course, it has 112 accredited universities today to offer this qualification. These are some of the professional certifications that PMI offers. PMP, you can see the first one is the gold standard out of all among many certifications. We are heavily into agile. I told you about agile. Agile-based project management is the future we believe. It is very common in knowledge worker projects. When I say knowledge worker projects, projects that are driven mostly by knowledge. So software to consulting services to professional services to research-based projects. All these are knowledge-based projects. As an industry, industry is growing so rapidly. These are some of the research data that you will see here. When you are a professional project manager, the industry has a 16% higher salary, which according to research as of today. Getting into these certifications requires your degree, kind of a 4-year degree with about minimum of 3-year experience to get into the project management profession. Also, research shows that the entire world needs about 25 million project managers by 2030. That's the world demand as of today, including Sri Lanka. 10 years ago, Sri Lanka rarely had a designation called a project manager. But today you would have seen advertisements. There's a big demand for project managers. Most of the organizations have realized you should have project managers to run projects for various organizations, be it manufacturing, be it telcos, be it banks. Banks has a lot of project managers today. Banks even have today PMOs, project management office as a department to run their projects. The world demand by 2030 would be 25 million project managers. But some of the work that we do with the community, just to, my last section, because the time is limited, I just rushed through some of the areas, but I'm happy to take any questions after this session. Some of the work that we do project community services. You can see, a lot of people, we get together on various different community services. We have many forums on latest topics that we conduct for various different people, various different communities. Of course, with members, this is one of those forums. We thought at least, you will get to know what is project management and what kind of work that we do in terms of project management. These are some of the community service. These are some of the forums that we conduct at various different times. So in the next slide, the current board of directors of PMI. Dushant is here, is the current president of PMI. Saman is also the director of PMI, together with many other people. Of course, I'll end up with a very nice story. This is Hoover Dam. I'm sure you would have heard. One of the very success stories in terms of project management. We learned a couple lessons out of it. Named as a world wonder today, in 1931, United States was building the world's largest entertainment city called Las Vegas. And US wanted to power Las Vegas. Las Vegas needed a lot of electricity. At that time, there were no nuclear power plants. So the only way they realized they could generate that power is to cross the Colorado River and to build the world's tallest, heaviest, and the biggest dam. In 1931, world's tallest, biggest, and the heaviest dam. Today it's not the tallest dam. 1931, it was the tallest dam. So they hired one of the greatest dam builders, a French engineer called Frank Crowe, to build this dam across the border of Nevada, Arizona in the United States. Hoover Dam. Still standing, still standing. So Frank Crowe and the US authorities decided we need 6 years to build the Hoover Dam. One of the critical, I would say, challenges in Hoover Dam is why we call it as the heaviest dam in the world. It consumed 6 million tons of cement. That was one of the critical factors of Hoover Dam. 6 million tons of cement in 1931. When our parents were building houses, when the Basunna or the mason put the foundation, they always, ask our parents or father to wait about 2 weeks to foundation to dry. Construction engineers call it as the curing time of cement. Because cement by nature needs time to harden itself. That's why at that time the mason who did the foundation wanted to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks until the foundation hardened itself and then to put the walls. Now, Hoover Dam in 1931 consumed 6 million tons of cement. Hardening time was estimated minimum of 2 years. 6 million tons of cement. In project management, we call it as the lag time. We say lag is a useless time. Lag is a waiting time. But nature demands this lag. When you apply a paint coat 1, you need to wait till few hours to apply the paint coat 2. That few hours will be a wasted time in project management. If I can remove that lag somehow, well, I can compress my timeline in my project. So the United States signed a very attractive contract. Some of the private sector organizations signed this. Usually we are very famous as Sri Lankans to sign a contract called fixed price contract. We love fixed price contracts. We want to make sure the price is fixed, never change. But the United States thought differently because their objective on this project to run the world's largest entertainment city. So they told Frank Crowe, we are going to sign with you a contract called cost plus incentives contract. Meaning we are reimbursing all the costs and there's a carrot to you, which is the bonus or the incentive, which is tagged to a timeline. So if you finish the project in 6 years, that's fine. We will give you a X amount as the incentive. But if you can finish it in 5 years, we will give you 3 times of the X, making it 3X. But if you finish it in 4 years, they told Frank Crowe, we will give you 5 times of that X. And Frank Crowe realized this would be my last project. I'm going for early retirement. I'm going to finish Hoover Dam in 4 years. Classic story. He realized the only problem in this is cement. How do I attack the nature's demand of a lag time? If I can attack lag time, if I can harden cement instantly, which we do today, if I can harden cement instantly, I could look at saving that 2 years and earn 5 times the incentive, which Franco did together with the chemical engineers. Today we practice in almost every project. That's the success of Hoover. So we learned a lot of lessons. One is the attractive of the contract to a supplier, which we usually don't think much. Second is, how do you fight against the nature's demand of a land? Hoover Dam is reaching 100 years pretty soon, 1935 to 2035, hopefully. It's still standing. This is a very success story and lot of lessons that the project management community learned based on a mega project called Hoover Dam. It has a nice video on YouTube. If that interests you, you could watch it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Shanaga, what we are going through the importance of project management and the lessons. Actually, we are a well qualified trainer, so no doubt, what experience and doing that. So let me come to the second speaker. Is Mr. Amila Alubala. Let me give you his profile. Mr. Amila Alubala is the general manager projects at Mobitel, our sister company. He carries 50 years of project management experience with proven track record in mega scale telecom network expansion projects. Amila is an engineer graduate from University of Morocco and CFA chartered holder, and he is also PMP and PMI risk management profession certified, another import qualification, RMP, and he also associate member of the CIMA UK. His work has been recognized by all top tier global project management professional bodies, namely PMI, IPM, IPMA, and APM, Association Project Management. He received numerous global awards, including Young Project Manager Award by IPMA in 2015. He is also a regular speaker in telecommunication and project management events. His appearance in 2016 PMI Global Congress in North America as an invited guest speaker has been an instrumental milestone for Sri Lankan project management profession. So Amil will share his experience in delivering his actually at the project Hovitel. So over to you, Amil.
Thank you very much, Samay. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I believe Shanaga gave a proper introduction to project management and how the project management profession is working in the current business context. So what I thought about what I should deliver in this evening is one important thing, but mostly neglected part of project management, which is where the project management should position in current organization structure. So to start with, I will be touching areas of project manager's role, the ideal position within the structure depending on the organization, plus what's the role of a PM, a basic PM, and some of the way forward approach that we can take in terms of delivering better projects. So in Shanaga's presentation, he was talking about the target. So target is about 30% success rate, because classical case is 70% of the project fail in one or the other aspect of the three constraints. So how to improve this target? How your organization position project management as a profession to make this target bigger. So let's take one by one. The one by one, what are the best practices that we can think of. So first of all, when you talk about the project manager's role, today, in today's context, it's more towards firefighting rather than having a systematic approach towards project management. So when it comes to organizations, there are two types of organizations that you can look into in main categories. One is where you earn revenue out of delivering a projectized product or a service. Another one, you are doing projects as a supporting service or a supporting product towards making revenue. So classic example is construction industry. If you don't deliver that particular building or a construction project, you don't get the revenue. That is your top line. You take a bank has massive amount of projects, but it's to support your operation. So to deal with these two organizations, there are two different approaches required. If you take a projectized organization, right, construction projects, telecom, organization like NASA, organization like pharmaceutical, where you develop or deliver product or a service as a bigger project, then it's very important to have a projectized organization run by a senior executive and given a much priority where he can see the strategy, he can involve with the strategy, and or he or she can connect with the strategic goal on daily basis. What happens is always this product or service which is developed by the projects are converting your strategy into action. So if the project manager or the project delivery head doesn't have the visibility in terms of what's going on top of the organization, he is not going to be passing the same message to the lower level of the project managers. So basically, if you are running mission critical projects, it's always very important to have that visibility, that importance, that level of visibility in terms of in organization structure to see how the strategy is converted to action. So it's very important where you position your project management profession in terms of your organization structure. So when it comes to other organizations like banks and where supporting projects are run, you always try to hide project management in functional structures, where you have functional heads from marketing to technical to IT to HR. So always the project manager is inside the functional structure. And what happens is always the project is delivered in line with those functional requirements. So it never sees the strategic importance of why this project is done and what is the connection between this project success plus my top time. So as professionals, one important thing that we all should think about is how to position our project management set up in our organization. So depending on those two contexts, you can decide whether you position it in a higher level at a very visible point, or you can put it in a functional structure. But always, wherever you position it, you have to give proper visibility, and you should be the project manager should be able to review as well as present performance in terms of a regular basis, and that visibility has to be given. So that's the positioning of the project management, and what kind of benefits that you can get out of positioning your project management structure or project management setup properly in a structure. So we know there are a few terms called scope creep. Whereas there's another term called pet projects, right? These are profit leaking points in organization. So scope creep is you agreed for a project to deliver scope A, but always there are certain sponsors, there are certain other directors come and say, no, I need this part, I need at this part. So always scope is creeping and it's getting bigger. If it is not given the visibility at the top, or the project owner doesn't understand the strategic importance of these, so always there is a room for scope creep. And you cannot control it because you don't have the visibility that there is not about the delivering the performance to see on top. So you can clearly avoid the scope creep as well as the tendencies to have pet projects and lead your hard-earned profits by giving a proper organizational position in terms of project management. The another one is the target success rate. So anything about 30%, which is from the current normal standard, is adding to your top line. So especially if it is a mission critical project, let's say your capex investment is 90% of that particular project, then saving 5% or avoiding losing 5%, both adds value on the long run. The third one is always it's very important to have your lessons learned recorded and bring it out for the next generation of project managers. If it is hidden inside the organizational structure, all these process assets and all these important learnings will not come out at all. And it will be like, you will be like reinventing the wheel again and again when it goes to another project. So keeping all this, I mean, you can handle these things with the knowledge management system and all these IT resources, but always giving a visible position in terms of project management within your structure will give you a lot of room for improvement in that aspect. Another aspects I just want to talk about is which Shanak touched a little bit, the PMO setup. So in today's context, I mean, most of you might have heard of PMO, but it's today's context, very inactive organization element, where they just take performance review report every month and just pass it to some superior management or just keep a record. So what happens is PMO has an active role to do in terms of increasing the target rate. What PMO can do is there can be a controlling PMO, there can be a supporting PMO. Controlling PMO takes the control of project performance and try to influence the project manager to do action from day to day. And there could be supporting PMOs where you support with all the processes and tools and techniques and give you give the resources to be successful. So whatever it is, if you want to set up a PMO, then PMO has to be given proper authority, and that PMO has to be given proper level in the organization structure. And even though there is no reporting line from project manager to PMO, at least there should be a matrix line, matrix structure where they have dual reporting. Again, PMO can do a very active role in training project managers. So a senior project manager who handles the PMO can either take external resources or they can develop their own setup in terms of training and developing young project managers, even though they are like located in functional structures, it doesn't matter. But training and development should be taken by PMO in a very regular time frames, as well as in a very systematic manner. And the next thing I just want to talk about is the risk management aspect of project management. Today, risk management is completely neglected because people never think risk management need a systematic or proactive approach in managing projects. So what happens is generally, I mean, human is a good machine to manage risk. We manage risk every day. But what happens is we manage risk with a judgment. When it comes to human judgment, we have biases. We are dealing with cognitive and emotional biases. So when you have cognitive and emotional biases, person A deals with risk in a different manner than person B. So that's why we need a systematic approach to risk management in projects. So when project is more complex, more bigger, more mission critical, you need to have a more complex, more systematic risk management approach. And again, when it comes to risk, it's not about all in terms of financial risk. So risk is always the uncertainty what matters. There are a lot of matters uncertainty in the world, but if it doesn't matter, we don't want to deal with it. So at least try to manage the uncertainties surrounded by the project, which matters most, where the impact is high. And again, when it comes to risk management, always there is a perception that it's about the negative impact. It's not about the negative impact. It's all about both sides. It could be negative impact and positive impact aspect. So the approach should be minimizing the negative impacts and optimizing the positive impacts. So risk management has to be taken very seriously by the current organizations. If you want to increase target rate, and even though it doesn't increase target rate, it will save a lot of your energy, it will save a lot of financial resources, as well as it will make a lot of projects cross that line of success. Then there is another aspect called change management, which we see today very important to control, because most of the project when it comes to dealing with very demanding customer, you get always change requests, and change request will go into scope creep, budget escalations, and finally failure of a project. So in these contexts, having a systematic approach for change management is also important. And that's where your project manager's level, authority, and visibility in the organization come into play. Because if it is middle to lower level, always the pressure for change management will be high and his ability to control will be less. And if it is at a higher level or visible level, you have more ability to control and more chances of negotiating it properly. And I have a classic example, if to talk about change management here. So when a couple of days ago, my president Dushyant called me and said, Damira, there is an event and there is a panel discussion. I said, all right, no panel discussion, there is some slides required or whatever. And I just went up. Then just before a couple of hours before I come here, someone called me and said, look here, you have 15-minute speech. And so those are the change management requests, right? But what happens is now, anyway, as a project manager, you have to deliver. You have to sit in the panel and you have to do the 15-minute speech with slides or without slides, right? So basically, this kind of things are the day-to-day aspects of project manager's life. And whatever you have, whatever the resources you have available to you, you have to make sure that you satisfy the requirement of the customer, as well as the end users like you, to make it to a satisfactory level. So this change management is one of the deal breaker in today's project management, which us as professionals should take very seriously. in terms of in also organizations. And those are the few important things what organizations should consider in terms of establishing proper project management structure. And there are project management maturity models where you want to place your project management organization structure. So most probably country like Sri Lanka, where systems are not developed so far, will be in the level of 3 to 2. Yeah. So my final message is it's very important that organizations think about how we deal with this project management, how we improve the target, and how organizations will be modeled and reshaped to accommodate project management in the right place. And if I'm telling you few way forwards for today's organization, the Sri Lankan organizations, so appreciation in terms of project management tools and techniques has to start from top. And the top of the organization should be knowledgeable and experienced enough to understand the pros and cons of deploying a project management setup, because it's a cost. And always, if you take it as a cost center, you're looking at a wrong picture. And staff should be trained properly, because there is no professional stream for project management after school. Project management starts after first degree. Even PMI qualification starts with a degree. There is a secondary qualification. So to start younger employees in terms of putting into the project management stream, there's a big role organizations should play within organizations to train them, mentor them, and even small assignments to take the touch and feel of project management. It could be agile, it could be whatever, but you should prove it. And you can have a project management culture where people, when you talk about an investment, rather than you ask for ROI, you can ask for certain project management elements, certain project management success factors. You can talk about EVM when you are talking about investment, and you can talk about capital budgeting. And these project management elements can take into the place of investment selection. So then it starts with project management, and it has to continue with project management to make it successful, and you can monitor it intermediately where it stands. So those are the main points where it should start from top, and you have to inculcate this project management maturity models into your organization DNA. Place project management at the right place, and groom your staff from the beginning, and encourage them to be qualified, get experience on various project management aspects, and always keep your eye on change management and risk management. So that way, you can definitely increase the target rate, which Shanaka talks about, and 30% is very pathetic in terms of today's context. And so we all, everyone would love to see somewhere between 40% and 50% going to it. Yeah, so that's the idea of my speech for this 15 minutes, and to give you an idea how organizations should be looked at project management as a profession, and how people take it as a project management as a career, and what kind of initiatives that companies can take to make it more lucrative and more efficient, more well established professional career path in next decades or long. Thank you.
Thank thanking regarding the three important points like risk management, program project management office PMO. He highlighted program and project management office, which is very important topic. And also he highlighted that the how importance of the change management by giving the good part of the example. Yeah. So actually, coming to the project management and coming, sir, not only in corporate world, but as a person, project management is also important in life. So with that, let me come to the panel discussion point. So I'd like to deliver the profile of the panel discussion. First, the first person, engineer as Premathilaka. Is the managing director. Joined Elis Group in 2018, and was appointed to the Elis Group Group Management Committee in October 2018. Currently serves as the managing director of Fentus Group. Previously, Mr. Premathilaka served as the country director, general manager of Ansel Lanka Private Limited, and chief executive officer of Phoenix Industries Limited. He also held managerial position at Chevron Lubricants Lanka. Engineer Premathilaka holds a Master Business MBA, Master of Business Administration degree, Marine Arts from University of Colombo, where he was awarded the prestigious Dr. Linus Silva Medal for the best overall performance. He possesses the BSc Engineering degree honors from University of Morocco. He is a fellow member of the Chartered Institute of Management of SEMA, member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and past finalist of Chartered Account Sri Lanka and graduate of British Computer Society. He also certified Lean Six Sigma with black belt. So the model leader is a Dushanta Dasanayake, and also is the president of the PMI Colombo chapter. Mr. Dushanta Dasanayake, certified project manager, PMP, with over 20 years of experience, specializing in digitalization in change management and change management in the banking and financial service industry. Assistant General Manager IT Systems at Sampan Bank PLC. He hold MBA from University of Morocco and is a graduate from University of Colombo, and also member of the British BCS UK. So I would like to invite Sir Dushant Dasanayake as the moderator, and also panel members as the Mr. Shanaka Bisilva and Mr. Engineer Amila Aluthara, and also Engineer Hasta Premathilaka. Over to you, Mr. Dushant, to carry out the moderation panel discussion.
Thank you, Saman. Just after we sorry. Thank you. So we have questions for each of the panelists, and then after they have answered those questions and explained the situation, we will open up for the forums to ask questions if you have any, and then conclude this session. So my first question goes to Sharaka Bisilva, who delivered the keynote address today, and he is one of the, as he was introduced, one of the key members, key person in project management arena in Sri Lanka, where he is one of the most renowned facilitators. So teachers of project management in Sri Lanka, and in their profile, it's said that taught or lectured about more than 2,500 students, which is a very great achievement. So he talked about the project management and how it evolved. And as he said, it was quite interesting to note that Sri Lanka has a very proud history of building things. We build great organized, great like one said, or great tanks or lakes, like Paratam Samudra and so on. And of course, the sea area, and we are quite renowned for our irrigation and building skills. But as he said, the knowledge that went into these projects was never handed down to the generations or even documented as far as and that wonderful knowledge has been lost forever. And same goes to the he was mentioning in the international area, like if you talk about the Egypt, the pyramids of Giza, and most recently was talking about the Hodam and recent projects. And up until this late 1969, we never had this formal. He was elaborating on that area where we didn't have a formal education or formal theory of project management or practice, which actually, like for us in USA, it was the PMI USA was founded, and the theory, or what we call today as the team of PE project management body of knowledge, was formulated, and it was an evolving document, and now it's, I think, it's about eighth edition, and it keeps on evolving. So, Shanaka, my question here is, as one of the stalwarts in the project management profession and a renowned teacher of project management in Sri Lanka, what was the impact of developing theories and practices like PMI did that changed the general profession of project management, and what is the importance of these changes or introductions on knowledge areas that impacted or that affected or what can be used in the future of Sri Lanka and our development of our nation.
Yeah, thank you, Nishant. So, very correct. If you look at the history, we have seen some mega projects, and of course today also we see some of the mega projects. So how this has evolved, and why can't we practice some of the things that has happened in the history? So one big problem is we have wiped out that knowledge. So one of the reasons or one of the things that happens today, even within organizations, we want to retain this knowledge. This knowledge is kind of twofold. If you look at, we call it explicit knowledge, where you can read, you can understand, you can by heart, you can teach. We also have a tacit side of this knowledge, where you gain it with experience only. So after attempting project after project, your tacit side also will increase. So combination of both of this is the essential experience that a project manager should have. So in the good old days, of course, nobody wanted to record it and maintaining it and carry it forward. That's the bigger mistake, I would say, or then eventually we lost, which we cannot think of. How do you build another pyramids of Gaza? How do you build another Ruan Melissa? Is a big question mark at this point. World over, not only in Sri Lanka, world over, we have this problem. But today, coming to today's context, how do we use this knowledge? Because PMI or project management call this knowledge as an asset. It's an asset for us. We have a specific name for it. Organizational process asset, we call it as, And you as a customer, when you give a job to a company, one of the critical things you will ask always is, how long have you been in existence? If you have been in existence for 6 months, you might be very reluctant to give that job versus another company who has been in existence for 20 years. Because, of course, these guys would have built that knowledge and they are here to stay, kind of a picture. So at PMOs, one of the critical things is we record this knowledge as much as possible. We even have tools which we call as knowledge management tools, which large construction companies to telcos around the world use today. So the only way is to build and retain and transfer this knowledge to the rest of the project managers. That's the knowledge side of the picture. Second side of the picture to answer Dushanta's question is, well, in the history, we never know what kind of tools we had, what kind of techniques we have. But at least now, today, in today's context, we have come up with hundreds of tools, techniques. We have come up with solid 49 processes to execute and manage a project. And utilization of these processes, tools, and techniques have become essential. No one could, even myself today, and I'm sure Amila, Dushanta, and the team, and Hasith, we cannot use all of it in a project today. Even we don't do that. But at least to start with about 10%, 20% of these tools, techniques, and processes to be utilized, you will see improvements to project after project. It's a practice that should come within the organization. Some of the organizations does it today. A lot of these things to make sure that you make your project success one after another. And also we have a usual pattern where once we finish a project and we look back, we always see we could have done it better. We always see we could have done it better, but it's too late because the project is over. But the sentiment where you feel that we could have done it better is quite important. That means you have learned something out of this project, which you did not practice in the current project. But that learning should be taken to the next project, which Amila also addressed. We call it as a lessons learned. We usually, traditional organizations today, we have quite a formal meeting at the end of the project. We call it as a project post-mortem, or sometimes called project lessons learned meeting, where we jointly brainstorm and look at, what are the good things happen in this project? What are the bad things happen in this project? How do we avoid those bad things? How could we make those good things to better things in my next project? And you record that knowledge as well out of lessons learned. So lessons learned is something that is neglected in many Sri Lankan projects, but it's a vital element for you if you're going to look at a progressive organization. This is the belief of Japanese also in their theory of Kaizen. Every day I do a small thing and I improve eventually over a period of time. So using our mistakes and our waste in organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Shara. That's quite informative, I think. So my second question goes to Hasith. Hasith, you are the managing director of Fenton's Group, and I think your organization is one of the corporates that actually handle makeup in the region. We know that in Sri Lanka, we know that Fenton's famous for telecommunication infrastructure projects and alternative renewable energy generation projects and so on. My question to you is, as a leader of an organization that is involved in project management, what are the essential attributes and characteristics of a potential project manager that you look for when you recruit a person not for the job? What qualifications, attitudes, knowledge do you look for when you invest in a project management human resource?
Thank you, Dushyant. Good evening, ladies. Yes, actually, Fenton's, like you said, Fenton's has a huge history, 103 years old company. Enjoying 144 years of ladies in 2016. So we all together it's over 200, almost 250. So we have a history of experience that has passed through generations of various engineers, because we are an engineering company. But like Dushyant mentioned, what are the qualities of the project manager that we would look for when we hire from the market or when we try to develop within? Actually, I engage with Chanaka as a result of trying to improve the project management capabilities within the organization. Because usually, like Amila said, though project management is a secondary qualification or a postgraduate qualification. We recruit engineers, we recruit accountants, recruit quantity surveyors, and maybe various other graduates from science background, but they are not coming with a proper project management education. So project management education is a key to success, because project manager should be educated enough to use the techniques